Named after the dog.
Welcome to the Nation of Jake on The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Yes, sir.
Yes, have some.
All right, welcome to it, the Nation of Jake on The Voice, FM 107.9 AM 990, online, KWAMTheVoice.com. Listen live, link in the top right corner. Also streaming live on YouTube, the channel, very easy to find, Nation of Jake on YouTube. Go subscribe, tell your friends all about it. Also follow along on Facebook. Just go find Nation of Jake there on Facebook and also at Nation of Jake on the Twitter. For this Monday, July 1st, year of our Lord 2019, 77 degrees. I'm not sure what it is today. At the moment, it looks sunny, but earlier it was raining and it was cloudy, so it doesn't really know what it wants to do. Not sure what's going on. I'll tell you what. Figure it out on your own. It's very simple to do. I've never really understood. I can understand like a forecast. But like telling you, oh, what's the weather right now? Just go look outside. Look outside where I am. It's sunny and it's probably really humid and it rained a little bit. Didn't think it was going to, but it did. And you just cannot trust the weather apps anymore. You can't do it. You know what you can't trust? Is your face. Stick it out of a window, out of a door, walk outside for a minute, and you'll figure out the weather really fast. Tons of new laws going into effect today in the state of Tennessee. More than 140 laws going into effect all at one time. So make sure you read up on all the new laws. We'll go over some of them, not all 140. By the way, when you add 140 new laws to the books and they go into effect, did they take any laws away? You know, it's kind of like me and guitars, black t-shirts, stuff like that. I'm at a point where I can't justify bringing another guitar or black t-shirt into the house without first repealing some guitars. I have to go guitar for guitar. I've got this Telecaster. All right, well, I kind of want a Les Paul. Well, the Telecaster's got to go. And the Les Paul can't come in until the Telecaster's gone. Or if the deal for the Telecaster is so good, I'm sorry, the Les Paul, I could bring it in while I'm getting rid of the Telecaster. Or like with black t-shirts, I've got too many. So it's just kind of like laws. We have too many, so before we put 140 on the books, we should repeal some of them. We'll get into that in just a little bit so we can keep it legal here in the Nation of Jake and in the state of Tennessee. We've also got some post-debate polls. Yeah, the debates last week. It was all the news for a hot minute. And now it's almost like nobody's talking about it, but there are some post-debate polls. The race, now they're saying, is wide open, according to some. I mean, no longer is it the Biden and Bernie show, although that might be the breakthrough comedy hit of the summer. The buddy comedy, put them on the road, Biden and Bernie, Bernie and Biden, put them on the road, put a camera crew with them. That would be a great reality show, maybe post-election, if neither of those idiots become president. It's Canada Day, so we will celebrate all things Canadian on this Canada Day. Maybe not all things. Maybe just the good things. We'll separate the things to celebrate about America's hat being the great country of Canada versus the things that we wish would never have come south to the U.S. from Canada. We'll do that. I'll tell you about my trip to Pigeon Forge. I went out to Pigeon Forge over the weekend. It was both fantastic and awful, all in one trip. And lots of excitement out there in Pigeon Forge, a really odd place. Got some observations about Pigeon Forge a little bit later. And we've also got all the latest headlines in the news crews. So over the week, while I was in Pigeon Forge, I, from time to time, would check in with the notifications on the phone. Now, the debates were all the talk on Wednesday night into Thursday and then Thursday morning. And then Donald Trump started making headlines, as he does. He just sucks all the air out of the news cycle. He doesn't sniff it like Joe Biden does. He just, and it's all gone. It's all Trump, right? So the latest notification and the biggest headline of Donald Trump's G20 trip into Asia is that Donald Trump became the first sitting U.S. president to set foot in North Korea, where he took 20 steps into the hermit kingdom the pariah state. On Sunday, Trump shook hands with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un as he crossed the low stone curb separating the North and South at around 3:45 p.m. local time. The event in the demilitarized zone, which also included a roughly 50-minute meeting behind closed doors, marked a return to face-to-face contact between the two leaders after talks broke down during a summit in Vietnam back in February. All right, so Donald Trump is in Asia. All right, back Wednesday, I guess he was traveling to Asia for the G20. He met with Japan about some trade stuff. He met with Vladimir Putin, who was also at this G20 summit. He met with the president of China about possibly a trade deal. Stocks are up because that development is largely positive. So Donald Trump is over there in Asia, and he says, oh, by the way, while we're over here, let's go say hi to Kim. Let's go say hi to Kim Jong-un. Like on the fly. Like, yeah, I'm in the neighborhood. Let's go over to North Korea. I think I got to stop in South Korea. So why not just take me up to the DMZ where I can meet with my good friend who sends me love letters. And so this is a pretty historic event. And it was just done on the fly. This wasn't like the summits before in Vietnam and in Singapore. This was Donald Trump off the cuff. I'm in the neighborhood, Kim. I'm going to come see you. So now we've got this meeting, impromptu meeting between the president of the United States and the dictator, Kim Jong-un of North Korea. And it just depends on where you are on the political spectrum as to what you make of it. Is this truly historic? Is Donald Trump on his way to breaking through with a nuclear deal with North Korea? Or is this a photo op? Depends on who you ask. You ask Trump supporters and you ask Republicans, and they're saying, look, this guy is a great diplomat. I mean, he has nullified any imminent threat of North Korean nuclear war by just engaging with Kim Jong-un. On the flip side, this is a photo op, and he's raising the profile of a mad, murderous dictator. And just to point it out, not to play whataboutism, but just to point it out, the media handles Donald Trump much differently than they do other presidents or have. Because I recall when President Obama normalizes relations with Cuba. Cuba, led by the Castro brothers, Fidel and Raul, these guys weren't making any concessions on all the human rights violations that they commit. In Cuba, they get people right off the street and lock them up. You never, ever see them again. When Barack Obama was in Cuba, he was hanging out with Raul Castro at a baseball game. They went to go watch the Mets or something. I don't know, were the Mets playing in Cuba? Did that happen? Or maybe the Cuban national team. He was in there, at a baseball game with Raul Castro, mad murderous dictator, of whom I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Kim Jong-un. But when you read the coverage of this stuff, and when you watch these images, I guess it just depends on, who's your news source of choice. Who's your news network? What news do you want to believe the most? What news is best to you? So on one side, you're saying, wow, Donald Trump is making real progress. Oh, hey, I'm flying by Kim Jong-un. I'm going to come see you, all right? Let's take 20 steps into North Korea, the first U.S. leader ever to do so. The Pope, cool Pope. Yeah, Pope Francis. He praised the meeting. He says such significant gesture will be a further step on the road to peace, not only on that peninsula, but for the good of the entire world. That's the Pope, right? I guess, depending on your religion or, how you like this Pope. This is a super cool Pope, remember? It's like, super cool liberal Pope is saying that this is great for diplomacy. But then you've got the other accounts of it saying, oh man, this whole trip has been a disaster. Donald Trump is elevating the profile of a mad murderous dictator on the fly, off the cuff, going to North Korea. He's over there telling Vladimir Putin, hey, don't meddle in the election. Jokingly, making light of it. When somebody asked Donald Trump during some kind of press meeting or press availability, while Donald Trump was there with Vlad Putin, Are you going to ask Vladimir Putin not to meddle in the election? And Donald Trump I'll tell him right now, hey, don't meddle in the election, okay? Like, what do you want him to do? I thought it was funny. So, I mean, it is that. I mean, if not anything else, this is always entertaining, isn't it? Hey, take me by Kim's place. Putin, don't meddle in the election. But people have been taking a lot of an exception to the way Donald Trump's been doing stuff. His trip to Asia, writes CNN. His trip to Asia was as much a Trump-first endeavor as it was formally rooted in his America First doctrine, since many of the president's moves and on-the-fly decisions appeared mostly aimed at enhancing his own position back home with the 2020 election looming. So Donald Trump taking the focus off all the Democrats, doing historic things, these photo ops, to raise his chances of being reelected. Like, it's all political, what he's doing. Of course it is. Of course it is. He's the president. And we got an election coming up. It's all politically calculated. As the face of America abroad, Trump palled around with dictators, elevated his blood relatives over his foreign policy officials, and staged a historically audacious photo op by walking onto the soil of America's last Cold War rival. Again, it showcased the president's open admiration of global strongmen who squelched democracy as he boasted of his great friendships with men such as Kim Jong-un, Russian President Vladimir Putin, and Chinese President Xi Jinping. So that's it. Donald Trump likes to pal around with dictators and strongmen. He makes these off-the-cuff decisions. He's got Ivanka, his daughter, and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, who are with him, who were not elected, who were appointed, not to federal agencies. You can't do that, but he got around the nepotism laws to have his family, who were unelected and they're part of his inner circle. So yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends. I mean, is it that big a deal? Would it be that big a deal if it was a Democrat president going into North Korea? Let's just take that. Now, we saw a Democrat president, Barack Obama, watching baseball games with mad murderous dictators, Raul Castro. Fidel, I don't think was really up for it. I think that he's been sick for a long time. Did he die? I don't even know. Did Fidel Castro die? I think that would have been a bigger story. I'd have to look at it. Sometimes you kind of forget who's dead and who's alive. I know that if he's still alive, he's not well. So Raul Castro was there with President Obama, and nobody said, oh, he's palling around with dictators. Oh, I mean, Republicans did. Republicans were like, oh my God, I can't believe it. Oh, he's palling around with dictators. Oh, he took a picture. Oh, a picture in front of a Che Guevara sign. Oh, everybody just gets all insane. It's insanely partisan out there. That's why you have to just kind of sit back. I would suggest reading multiple articles and opinions about what the president is doing, and then also just wait and see. Don't jump to the conclusion or let that guttural reaction you have take over. Do I like that Donald Trump seems to be real chummy with Kim Jong-un? No, I don't. I'm not a fan of Kim Jong-un. But if this is Donald Trump's way of trying to make some progress with the pariah state, this is his way of doing it. Now, you always say, oh, look, he won't deal with Iran. Oh, he won't honor the nuclear deal with Iran. Well, that's a terrorist state. There's been a pariah state as North Korea. But if he tries the kind of things you want him to try with Iran, with North Korea, then he's a horrible guy who likes to buddy up with strong men and dictators. You can't have it both ways, can you? Of course you can. You can have it any way you want. Watch the news that confirms your biases. Just keep doing you, guys. Just keep doing you. All right, coming up, the 2020 race is suddenly wide open. Now, I'm not sure if that's true. Is it? It's suddenly wide open. I mean, it's anybody's race now. Even John Hickenlooper's. Even Eric Swalwell's. Even Marianne Williamson. No, it's not. It's just that the imminent Joe Biden, that's right, Joe Biden is looking pretty soft right now. We'll get into that next right here in the Nation of Jake.
The Voice, KWAM, FM 107.9 and AM 990.
Planning for retirement can be confusing and overwhelming. Tune in to the Servant Retirement Show to hear the current news